The biggest reason why I've lost over 35 pounds and I've actually gotten lean for the first time in my life is because I changed my mindset when it comes to food and diet. And I've always been someone who's kind of been in that 20 to 25% body fat type of range. Not anything too obese, but I've had my share of times when I used to be a little chubby and it was noticeable. And even though I've always wanted to be lean, it only took this mindset shift about food and about nutrition and about health to change the way that I actually eat and the progress that I make with losing weight. And so the mindset that I'm talking about is the reason and the intention behind losing the weight. And so one of the biggest things that I notice when I talk to a lot of people, or honestly to almost everyone that I talk to, is that they want to lose weight just to look shredded, just for the fact of looking shredded, right? And this is something that I really tackle a lot in my course in my community, which is the first link in the description if you want to check it out. But it's that if you only focus on getting lean and getting shredded and having the six packs, right, and the V taper and everything, right, which is cool and all, it's definitely a cool thing to have, and it's definitely a thing that I want as well. I'm not saying that you shouldn't aspire to that, right? But if that's the only goal that you have in mind, the difficult part about it, the problem with that is that once you have that as your primary goal and your primary incentive, then you're gonna take any means possible to get there. What I mean by this is that you could technically choose any diet and get there. Some of them are probably easier than others, some of them harder than others. But if you're just in a calorie deficit, which is the main parameter that you have to control, then you can choose any diet to get to, like, for example, 10% body fat, right? But I hope you're seeing the problem with that, because if someone's going to choose to just go to the route of, okay, I'm just going to control my calorie deficit, but I'm going to eat whatever I want, then they could be eating anything. Who says they're going to be eating food that actually promotes their health, right? What if they're eating a bunch of junk food? Oh, it's calorie deficit. Even if the junk food has a lot of protein and they're hitting their protein goals and they're retaining their muscle mass, right? What if it just doesn't have any micronutrients? What if all the vitamins and the minerals are just lacking and they're not there? Then the problem with that is, first of all, it's going to be harder to get to the goal, even though it sounds counterintuitive, because you think, oh, if I can eat junk food and it tastes really good, because junk food is designed to taste really good and it's very highly palatable, then surely it should make it easier. Well, my argument to that is that since it lacks nutrients and a lot of them do have ingredients that are literally harmful to you, right? Proven by studies. Whether it's a very significant increase in health problems or very insignificant, they all add up when they compound with one another, right? And first of all, even for the studies that don't show substantial significance in these, like in the harmful effects of these ingredients, why would you want to risk it anyways? Why are you drinking like Coke Zeros all the time, right? Sure, you can have one once in a while. For example, I'll have one. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'll have like a 0 calorie beverage. Sometimes, like, let's say I'm really craving just like food that day, right? And I've already hit my calorie targets, And just, for some reason, I really can't get past, like, let's say I'm outside with my friends and I'm really getting hungry, I'm getting cravings, then if it's that bad I need to, I'll just get a Coke Zero or something, right? I'll get a 0-calorie beverage because it's just gonna keep me, it's just gonna like reduce that craving just for a little bit, for it to like get me past the night. And so I'm gonna admit it, even though I'm doing it a lot less now, I haven't had one in at least a month, right? But intuitively, the goal should be to not have any of that, because even something as like aspartame, even though a lot of studies sure has shown that it doesn't produce much of a significance when it comes to harmful effects, but you never know. It's made in a lab. You're betting your odds on aspartame versus nutritious whole single ingredient foods that have literally been our primary source of nutrition and energy for the last at least 10,000, 50,000 years. And so why are you betting against such a safe bet, right? Of meat and eggs and dairy and vegetables and plants. So you're going to take aspartame and sucralose instead? I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense to me. Sure, I get you. Aspartame does make a lot of things taste really sweet and nice, and it doesn't add any significant calories. And so, I just don't think it shouldn't be your staple. And that goes with anything ultra processed, any ingredient that's not made in nature, that has to be made in a lab. So, even though you can lose weight and you can get lean by eating junk food, first of all, you're increasing the harmful effects on your health, right? Second of all, counterintuitively, maybe it's the opposite of what you might think, but the fact that you're lacking nutrients is going to catch up to you. It's going to affect your mood. It's going to affect, again, your mood, which is going to affect your sleep, your training, your overall energy throughout the day. You're going to be more fatigued. When you're more fatigued and sleep deprived and everything's not seeming to work out, what usually gets ruined when you're sleep deprived? Your hunger hormones. You're going to wake up feeling 50% more hungry, just automatically. Just after waking up, you're automatically more hungry because you're not fully recovered, and so your body's going to compensate that by making you more hungry, eating more food, so there's a bigger source of energy, right? And so that's going to increase the chances of you binge eating and just eating up those calories anyways. And so if you just tweaked your mindset in order to optimize and prioritize health just as much as being lean, because getting lean to some point is good for your health, right? And counterintuitively, focusing on health actually makes losing the weight easier. It's just that you're wired to eat the junk food right now because you have it very regularly, that your taste buds and your microbiome, your gut microbiome is adapted to it, right? Because they have to adapt to what you're continuously eating. For example, let's say your only food source was potatoes, but your taste buds just didn't like it, or your microbiome just didn't like it or something, right? And it wasn't positive, it wasn't giving you a positive feedback loop to make you eat more of it, then you would just stop eating it. But then if that's your only food source, you would die because you need food to live. And so automatically your taste buds and your body is going to adapt to whatever you're feeding it over a certain amount of time. And so you'll adapt your body and your taste buds and your senses to like that food, or at least accept it. Good, like to some level that you can still eat it every single day. And that's why when you actually stop eating junk food and eat healthy food, healthy single ingredient foods, for anything over a week, 2 weeks especially, once you do eat the junk food again, it does not even taste like real food to some level. Sure, it still tastes sweet and it triggers the dopamine receptors in your brain because it's designed that way, right? But there's something in you, like in your, you're gonna have like a weird sensation that doesn't feel real. For example, like even just the chocolate snacks and whatever, like when I'll eat them and it's not like real cacao or whatever, like they add, some of them even add like wax on it, right? And I'll taste it. I'll taste the texture of it, the way that it like dissolves in my mouth. It just doesn't feel fully real. There's something about it that does not feel real. It feels a bit fake, a bit not even edible. So I'm like, why am I even putting this in my body? I don't get it. So once I started prioritizing my health just as much as being lean, it changed the game for me, and it actually surprisingly made getting lean a lot easier as well, because I was focusing on my health, and so I was making all my calories come from whole foods, and so I was getting a lot more nutrients than I was before, right? And that way, I had a much more sustained level of energy, which made me get a much more sustained level of hunger. Then obviously combining that with caffeine in the morning, intermittent fasting, things that a lot of people do anyways, it just made the process doable. Not easy. I wouldn't say easy. Weight loss is never really easy, especially if you're actually like in a substantial and continuous calorie deficit. But it made it manageable so that I actually had a sense of hope of getting to the finish line. And so if you feel like you've been stuck in this loop of like actually making progress and just ruining it all in one day or even just one night, then it might be because you're not prioritizing health. What it means to prioritize health as well is not going on a crazy calorie deficit, right? Not trying to lose like 3-4 pounds a week, which is like what, 1,500 or 2,000 calorie deficit a day. When you do that, your whole system is crashing. You're not even if you're eating only whole food, you're not gonna get enough nutrients to keep your body running. And so you're damaging your health, and also you're just gonna skyrocket your hunger hormones, which again is an increase. Unless you're very disciplined, you're gonna highly increase the chances of you eating it all back with binge eating. And so again, it all ties back. Have the balance between health and getting lean, and actually focus on making the two serve each other. Eating healthy will make getting lean easier. Focusing on health would automatically make you lose weight if you're holding extra fat. There's a certain point where it's like if you're getting under like 8% body fat, it gets a bit tricky. Losing more weight might actually not serve your health. Sure, you might want to do that if you're like going into a bodybuilding competition, but otherwise, if you're just focusing on staying healthy, probably anything between 10 to 15, depending on the season, 10 to 15% body fat. It's going to look good, and you're going to feel healthy for the most part, right? Especially when you get to the phase of just maintaining that weight, because then you actually get enough calories to feel good. And so if you wanted to learn more on how you can actually eat healthy and lose weight without the side effects of, eating unhealthy, eating processed foods, then just check out my community. It's the first link in the description. It has a bunch of courses on how you can do exactly that. And so I'll see you there.